Before you say it, we mean weapons when saying arms, not literal arms. You can thank YouTube for this. But if we're listing the most satisfying literal arms in gaming, then Asura would obviously win. Anyway, onto the other arms. There are times in games when you find a weapon that's just the epitome of a power trip. The type of weapon that makes you appreciate the game all the more because you feel like a total badass. Here are the 10 most satisfying arms in gaming. Perhaps not the greatest power trip weapon of this list, but boy is it satisfying to headshot an enemy with the bow and arrow from a distance. From setting up on a perch, overlooking a campsite, to picking your target, to adjusting the sights to account for the dip of the arrow, to finally letting fly. It's really quite fun to use, even if you miss, which we do. Plus, the amount of badass montages of Rambo-style destruction using just a bow and arrow that have popped up lately has certainly helped with the satisfaction of using the tools.
I hate you so much.
I would give it to you if I could.
You don't have a Gallo Horn?
Oh, I got it! Yeah, I got it! Yes! Yeah!
From a quiet arrow to a full-blown annihilation machine. The good old Gallo Horn was pure art in motion and made rather short work of basically anything in the entirety of Destiny. The term unkillable space wizard was never more true when players were able to wield this incredible rocket launcher. Much of the allure of Destiny was simply to acquire it.
It took me 14 tries to get that helmet. Oh! Gallo Horn! I just saw Gallo Horn pop up!
Because it often took players hundreds of hours of playtime before it finally dropped.
There we go.
The reactions to when it dropped were also pretty priceless, compounding the fact that it epitomized the power fantasy gamers craved. Ah, the Gravity Hammer. A weapon so fun to use that it spawned an entire sport within the Halo series from Halo 3 spanning all the way to Halo 5. Namely, Griffball. It's essentially a sport where players consistently smash each other with gravity hammers until the timer eventually runs out. Which is where the fun lies, because smashing each other with the gravity hammer is immensely entertaining. Seeing your foes go flying off into the distance after being smashed is part of why Halo 3 will always be remembered fondly. Okay, maybe a little dramatic, but you get the point.
Killjoy.
Although it's named after a practice created to help people with their addictions, the intervention still has a relevant name. The addiction in this particular case is just being alive, and the intervention essentially remedies that quite quickly. This is the sniper rifle that defined quickscoping in video games. It also defined the memes of 12-year-olds screaming at their screen because you denied them their 720 ladder stall no-look upside-down head-on-fire no-scope kill cam. In all seriousness, it was pretty damn satisfying to land a quickscope with the intervention. The Hidden Blade and Assassin's Creed. Name a more iconic duo. We'll wait. Okay, we won't wait because we're supposed to do the talking here. But why is the Hidden Blade so iconic? Probably because nothing made us feel quite like an assassin as much as walking into a crowd, stabbing our target in the back, and walking away totally unnoticed as the only hooded person totally unfazed by the guy that just collapsed from a stab wound. Minor plot holes aside, Assassin's Creed's Hidden Blade really made the game series stand out because it was the perfect weapon. From a subtle blade to a full-on nuke, we introduced the Merve launcher. For those unfamiliar with the Merve, it's a nuke launcher that fires multiple nukes that split into smaller nukes while flying to create a nuclear carpet bomb. It's essentially Kim Jong-un's wet dream. Even the mighty Deathclaws of Fallout don't stand a chance against this monstrosity of a weapon. Just try not to stand within a mile of the blast zone because, well, you'll die. It's many nukes after all. It's hardly a surprise that you'll die if you stand too close.
Is down.
Much like the Hidden Blade in the Assassin's Creed series, the Garrett Wire in Hitman is one of those ultimate stealth weapons. While people might take notice if you try to strangle someone in a crowd, it's a weapon that typifies what the Hitman games are all about. Getting your prey into a position where you can use such a close-quarters weapon without being noticed. That's where the satisfaction of using the wire comes from as well. Being such a stealthy boss that you can strangle someone in public without getting caught. Well, either that or you've killed everyone else except your target and you just strangle them whenever. No one will notice if there's no one to notice. Okay, we couldn't help ourselves. We had to throw in some literal arms into our list of satisfying arms to use. While Asura's many arms are used to kill a planet-sized god, they're not really that satisfying in the long run. The hammer fists in Prototype, however, do fit the bill. What other game allows you to use the weight of your own arms to hurl yourself forward and land with a groundbreaking explosion? And if that didn't tickle your fancy, you could also jump off a building and body slam the ground using the hammer fists. Who wouldn't want to turn themselves into a nuke? First shalt thou take out the holy pin. Then shalt thou count to 3. No more, no less. 3 shalt be the number thou shalt count, and the number of the counting shall be 3.
Pay attention, soldier!
Now that we've made that clear, we can talk about the actual holy hand grenade from Worms. Aside from the obvious, it destroys everything satisfaction the player can derive from using it, it's also really enjoyable to hear the hallelujah just before it disintegrates all the worms around it.
Leave us! Depart this place! Ow!
Yes, another hammer, but they all have different perks to them, so we figured why not complete the trifecta of hammers? What makes the hammer in Smash Bros so satisfying, you ask? Well, the answer is simple. The salty tears of the people you used to call friends. Much like any multiplayer-based Mario game, there's always something that can infuriate your friends more than a draw 4 card in Uno. And the hammer is right up there among the greats. It's unstoppable, and it's an instant kill, so it's a small wonder that players get a lot of hate for using it, which makes the victory all the sweeter. And those were the most satisfying arms in gaming. Have we missed any weapons that give you a warm, fuzzy feeling inside upon using them? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Zoomin Games for more lists like this one.